today I'm going to talk about the subjects of telepathy, remote viewing, and astral projection. I won't talk about lucid dreaming, as this is the same thing as an out-of-body experience. It just depends on the individual's ability to translate the dimensions, which often come across as dreamscapes, into the body. And I will probably also brush on subjects like death and dreams, as these are also closely interwoven, and with my usual music in the background. There it is. So let's take a look at telepathy, and there are two primary different types. The first type I will talk about is a close bond, which creates a resonance between two or more beings. On Earth, we primarily see this between a parent and a child. One parent is thinking something, and the child will just say it. This is a form of telepathy, because the bond is so close. The connection is close, and the resonance happens. Like you could take a tuning fork, say a 432 hertz tuning fork, and you strike the tuning fork and it begins to vibrate. If there is another set of tuning forks nearby, the only one that will vibrate will be the other fork of 432 hertz, and all the other forks won't vibrate at all. This is the best analogy I can think of for that type of telepathy. And the other form of telepathy is a more intention-based and slightly more advanced form of telepathy. I'm just going to give examples from my personal experience of using it. As you close your eyes, take a breath, you think of the individual, maybe even say the name of the individual in your mind as you exhale, and then you're given the image of the back of their head, and then you just say what's needed to be said. And the person, even if they don't speak the same language, will automatically be translated this language in through their prefrontal cortex of their brain. And how does this happen? Well, the electrons, information is passed through electrons. So you package the information with speech, internal speech, intention. Then the individual that receives this information, it's unpackaged by their body and is automatically translated into what they can understand. I have spoken with many beings, some incarnated into bodies, some not, that have no idea about English or any language on Earth. Yet still this communication is very fluid and very real time. Sometimes even more fluid and real time than speech, and easier and more direct than speech. And this is also the same technique as what happens when you remote view. You have a ball of plasma. It's cold plasma, very hard to detect, but with the right spectroscopy you can actually detect it, and many scientists are now seeing these orbs of light. This represents your DNA. It is the same frequency as what your DNA is. Your DNA is a crystallized version of this orb of plasma. It actually exists 4 feet above your head. And what happens when you remote view through your intention, or if you open up a telepathic communication with somebody, this ball of plasma teleports itself. It doubles itself and teleports to the location and delivers the information to the being's biofield, which immediately entangles with the brain through the prefrontal cortex and can be perceived by the whole brain due to mechanisms I've mentioned before in other videos. And this is pretty much what's happening when people are remote viewing. Their plasma body, I'm going to call it a plasma body, it's an orb. It just appears in the environment from where the intention is. So you give the intention, you relax and focus simultaneously, and your plasma orb pops up in this environment. It doesn't matter where it is, or even if it's in a different time frequency than what we're experiencing right now. And then you are able, depending on the evolution of your brain, you can see, hear, smell, and feel whatever it is in the environment where your plasma appears. This is also the best way to deal with traumas. The traumas that sit in your biofield, which resonate with certain areas within your body. The only real way to clear your traumas that are embedded into your body are to go and remote view them and re-experience them, smell them, feel them, see them. I've had to do this not just for this lifetime, but for lifetimes I'd had before. Some on this planet, some not on this planet. When we die, it's a choice whether we want to transition fully back into our oversouls or continue into another lifetime. And so I've chosen many consecutive lifetimes, which has built up many experiences, as the beings I had been before had not been so evolved. Their traumas had carried on, and so I've had to go back and undo those traumas, because traumas densify and build up and make it difficult for the body. Certain areas of my body, like the hip, from sexual abuse over many lifetimes, and even in this lifetime. So clearing out trauma is one of the primary aspects of this telepathic remote viewing technique that humans need to pay attention to, because humans have quite the build-up of trauma, because they don't understand how to deal with it. And doctors don't understand this, psychologists don't understand this, and this is why we become ill. We have many illnesses, and even though you could have the healthiest lifestyle in the world, you will still have an illness. And we have illnesses that people can't even explain. The doctors have no explanation for. They don't know why they appear, because there is an imbalance. There is an imbalance in the body that is translated from the biofield. And now, out-of-body experiences or astral projection. This is when you're asleep, your body is asleep, and you get the sense that you're outside of your body. You become separate from your body. This can be a slow process or a quick process, and you just seemingly teleport into a different environment. I've experienced both. I do this frequently, both versions. The slow process can terrify people because it feels like your body is coming apart from itself, and this has actually a sound and it has a feel. It's all of the senses are involved in this. Everybody experiences themselves outside of their body. They just don't have the understanding to translate the experiences because of belief systems. It's the belief systems that the brain is engaged with that translate your experiences of dimensions outside of your body. This is why people have very impactful dreams. The most impactful dreams you have are when you're outside of your body. As the plasma energetic being that you truly are outside of your physical existence, feels and experiences things in a much more vivid and intense way than you do in your physical body. The physical body acts like a filter. Astral projection and remote viewing, both these things, I didn't set out to intend to do these things. They just started happening naturally. Sometimes I would find myself in front of a star. But I now know that there were dimensions and beings involved in this, and they were helping me remember different star systems that I have existed on and where my oversoul is native to. And as we're on the subject of beings, I will also mention some experiences I've had that refer to telepathy and remote viewing, as I had some beings from higher dimensions helping me with my physical body. I would watch them communicate, and instead of words, a shape would come out of their mouth, for example a heart, and it would have a certain color to it, like green, and it would also have a certain tone, a high-pitched tone, and the heart would actually beat and float across my field towards the other beings, and this is how they would communicate. These are the same kinds of beings that are often mentioned in Egyptian hieroglyphs, with wings on their backs and as birds and things like this, because the animated image was to represent their capabilities and their understandings, not how they looked. And with remote viewing, I was aware of remote viewing already, but I wasn't training to do any remote viewing. I was also aware of how to train to do this. But eventually I would just be meditating, I would have my eyes closed, and I would think of something within certain theta states. I would just think of something, and my attention would wander into some thought, and I would teleport visually and audibly and through smell to the location, and I would experience the location or the situation. And this got difficult over time to fall asleep, because I would lie down in bed, I would close my eyes to go to sleep, and every single thought that I gave attention to, I would be transported to this place, or the situation, or the person, and they would just be there in my field. Maybe they were sleeping too, or it depends what they were doing. So I had to learn to control these things. I had to reverse engineer and understand what was happening to better control these things that were happening to me. And as my understanding has evolved, so has my soul. And so when I'm outside of my body, many times now, I'm helping other people. I'm sometimes meeting family members when they've slipped out their body and they're unaware. And sometimes I'm helping people, sometimes friends, sometimes strangers, that have died, and they've trapped themselves in their tight belief systems of fear. And I slowly help them understand where they are and what's happening, and how you transition into different higher understandings and surpass these belief systems that they're caught in. Because when you die, your belief systems and your emotional state will resonate with whatever reality is out there for you to resonate with, and you will experience this. Many people die in fear and they think they're in hell. Hell doesn't exist, but there is something similar to hell that you will experience if you are encapsulated in a fear-based belief system and a low emotional state. As the body dies, the plasma orb that I was talking about carries on to exist. And this is what resonates with all the different dimensions and realities. This is why it's important to learn how to die peacefully, to die in a positive state, to die understanding that it's just a transitional period, and it can be exciting, as you are much less constrained outside of your body, and your experiences are much more poignant. Stay intuitive, and thanks for listening.